Okay folks, welcome to another video. Yep, you've seen the title. This video is going to show you, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that were released for, certainly for the Commodore 64. I think some were also released for the Atari 8-bit. And surprisingly, somebody has actually converted these to the Commodore Amiga. So kicking things off, we've got Aztec Challenge. And this was a Paul Norman game, and it was released by Cosme. Now, you'll see what I've done there. I've got the Commodore 64 version on the left, and on the right hand side I've got the Commodore Amiga. Now, just so you can kind of compare it, you can see there I've got the Amiga audio playing at the moment, and then halfway through this particular bit I will change it to the C64. So it's just a bit of a fun comparison, let you see how it looks. Now, apologies for the quite poor Amiga footage. When I recorded this, I actually recorded this quite a while ago. I just never actually got around to making the video. I had scanlines turned on. Now, as we all know, scanlines, when you're doing these kind of videos, just looks horrible. So yeah, the games look worse than they actually do if you're playing it, on a system. But yeah, I mean it's pretty damned accurate. I mean, if you actually take your time to look at the graphics on the C64 and then look to the right on the Amiga, they're very, very authentic. It's not exactly going to be pushing the Amiga at all. It's a simplistic game, but yeah, and it plays really, really well. It's just as frustrating as it always has been. Very shortly I will change over to the C64 audio. There wasn't a great deal of sound in this game, to be fair. Yeah, this particular level is an absolute exercise in frustration. And usually when you get hit once, you lose about 3 or 4 lives. So here we go. This is level 2, where you're trying to run up, I take it it's the side of a pyramid, whilst avoiding sugar cubes, giant sugar cubes apparently. But yeah, you can see they've tried to remain exceptionally faithful to the original. They've not tried to really improve the graphics any. They've made it. I mean, you can see there it does look slightly better on the Amiga. Does it make it a better game? I don't think so. But now, Paul Norman is an interesting character. He's firmly old school. He was one of these guys. He did the programming, he coded the game, he wrote the game, he did the graphics, and he also did the music as well. I would love to see a really good attempt at making a remastered Forbidden Forest. There is a PC version out which is complete bollocks, so avoid at all costs. This is one of these games. It's a bit like Beachhead. It's 4 or 5, let's call them mini games. None of them particularly great. They're all equally frustrating. But you know what? When you put them all together, it's a memorable game. I mean, I do have fond memories of playing this game, and it was as difficult then as it is now, or should I say now as it was then. Now the next one, excuse me, Donkey Kong by Nintendo from Atari Soft. Yep, that's right. Atari actually released Nintendo games on the good old 8-bit. So this again is a conversion of the Commodore 64 version. It was obviously released by Atari for numerous systems, including Texas, Atari 8-bit, etc., etc. So this is a copy of the C64 one. Again, all looks pretty authentic. This particular game, it always looked too wide. It looks like somebody had stretched it, and I always think to make it. I mean, I suppose it was utilising the sort of how the C64 displayed games. If you want to make this look better, you can squish it in a wee bit to make it kind of look slightly more horizontal, because it was a horizontal game in the arcades. But yeah, again, you can see there, and listen, it's currently the Amiga audio, and it's about to change to the C64 one. There we go, we're now on Commodore 64 sound. It's interesting though, because the guys that did these, in fact, it was one company that did a lot of these conversions, if not all of them actually. I'm not 100% sure. They could have quite easily have taken the game and just made it, Amigified it, if that's a phrase, made it look much better. But no, I think the whole purpose of what they were trying to do was to recreate the Commodore 64 version on the Amiga, and that was stupid. I walked right into that. So yeah, there you have it. That is Donkey Kong. Now the next one, this is an absolute Stonewall classic. This is High Noon, released by Ocean Software, and it's got an absolute cracking Bob Wakelin bit of artwork. Never actually realised just how good that is actually. This has got a very distinctive soundtrack on the title screen. So again, I'm going to be letting you hear the Amiga first. I should have probably done it the other way around actually, but not to worry. I wanted to let you hear the title track on both. So yeah, you can see they've replicated the graphics exactly, even to the point. If you look at the top left, the building sort of says EL with a little bit of the letter on the left hand side, and they've done exactly the same. They've changed the colours slightly. Instead of browns, which you would expect from Commodore 64, they've gone for sort of reds, and the ground is slightly more kind of goldy than yellow. You'll probably notice that your main character does move quite a bit quicker in the Amiga one. Now I've got some Amiga audio. I think the fact that he moves so quick, I wouldn't say he moves quick, he moves quicker. I mean, the C64 one, he always walked very slow, which did make it quite tricky at times. Sometimes you just didn't have enough speed to kind of escape a bullet. And the wee Undertaker guy is legging it back and forwards, dragging in all the or the artful dodger, as I like to call him. That's a lovely little thing, that an Undertaker dragging dead bodies into his shop. That's a absolutely marky genius, that. Now in the C64 one, you do get the music right the way through it, but in the Amiga one you don't get it. Here we go, we've got the bonus straw. Boop, there we go. Yep, that is absolutely spot on. That was High Noon. Right, next one. This is a port of, again, the Commodore 64 port of an arcade game, Popeye. Never a big fan of this. I always found it quite difficult and quite frustrating to play, but I thought it's still worthy of featuring in this video. This particular one for the C64 was released by Parker Brothers. So again, you've got the Commodore 64 version on the left, and you've got the Amiga one on the right hand side. Again, they've taken the graphics, they've enhanced them ever so slightly. And at the moment, you've got the Amiga audio, which if I remember rightly is pretty accurate to the C64 one, but you can make your own mind up. Bollocks, he's just grabbed me. So if you're watching the wrong screen, if you're watching the C64 whilst the Amiga audio is playing, you're thinking, wait a minute, the sound's out of sync. You need to make sure you're looking at the right the right version. Now apparently, and I think this is a true fact, apparently instead of Donkey Kong, they were actually the game idea was going to be based around Popeye, but for whatever reason they either couldn't afford or they didn't want to use the license, so they ended up going for Donkey Kong. So now you've got the sound from the Commodore 64 one. It does take a wee while for the game. Oh, there we go, game over. Right, we'll restart. By the way, apologies about leaving the mouse cursor in the screen. Never noticed that at the time when I was recording it. So I think the idea of this game, oh bollocks, is it Bluto or Brutus? What's he? I think it's Bluto. He's just grabbed him by the head. So you need to avoid him at all costs. He will try and jump, he'll try and grab you from above. Now I think there's only one way to kill him, and that's by dropping that thing on you, on top of whatever that is, tires or something. You can then punch him. Though I'm making a complete dog's dinner of it trying to do that. Maybe you can't. But yeah, again, super accurate. Right, this next one, this is an odd game. Chances are you've probably never heard of this. This was one of these games, it was one of the first games I ever really played in the C64. It's as basic as anything. It's based on Amador, the arcade game Amador. It's, like I said, it's really basic, but it's because it's so basic, it's actually really addictive. This is called Super Gridder. I'm sure it came out called Gridder as well. So again, C64 is on the left and the Commodore Amiga is on the right hand side. Virtually no difference in graphics. I mean, this is not exactly challenging any system, but you know what, it's a great little game to play. Slightly more advanced sound, I would think. Does it make it a better game? Hell no. And now we've got the C64 audio, of which there isn't very much. There is no SID tune to speak of. So you're almost playing the game in complete silence, other than a little wah sound effect when you fill in a box. But you wouldn't believe how much I played this game back in the day. I loved it. Because of the simplicity of it, it's a great little game to play. So there you have it. That is Super Gridder. Right, you'll be familiar with this one. This is a C64 port of the Sega arcade game. This is Zaxon. This was one of these games, I remember seeing screenshots of, I think it was probably Computer and Video Games, and it looked incredible. It just looked like a completely new generation of game. It was like 3D. You know, everything else before that was like Space Invaders and what have you. Then you got this game that even now I think it still looks impressive. And I was actually really surprised at how well I synced this particular bit, the way it fills in the Zaxon. So again, C64 on the left and Amiga one on the right. Again, they've tried to, they've improved the graphics ever so slightly, wee bit more detail, but the layout, etc. is spot on. It's quite a challenging game this because it's playing in sort of isometric 3D. You've got to try and make sure that you're at the right height, etc. when you're, when you're having to kind of manoeuvre through little holes and walls and what have you. The only way to really determine where you are is to keep shooting. So when the bullets hit the wall, you know you need to kind of go up a wee bit. And now we're back on, or not back, we're now on to C64 audio. Never completed this game. I think you get, was it this one or was it Super Zaxon where you've got to defeat the big dragon? I'm not quite sure, but I never ever did get very far in this game. I think I might have got past this level and then it goes back to sort of a 3D layout. But it's a great game, it really is. And again, the conversion of this is spot on. You need to make sure you're, oh, that was skillful. You need to make sure you're keep firing, and then you need to go through that little hole. Oh, manage that again. And take out these things, whatever they do. I think that's fuel actually. So there you have it, there is Zaxon. Right, the very last game we're going to look at is Drop Zone. Now this game wasn't written by the other company that did all the other ones. I'm not sure who did the conversion of this, but Drop Zone, what is there to say about Drop Zone other than it's probably one of the finest Atari 800 and Commodore 64 games. It's just a phenomenal, it's Archer McLean's take on Defender. So yeah, I was surprised to see this. So on the left again, you've got Archer McLean's version, and on the right you've got the new one. Now to be fair, the one on the right, the Amiga one, it's a beta. It was never, I don't think it's ever been finished, and you can tell there's certain things about the Amiga one that just don't really work properly. And now we're into C64 audio. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's all right. I mean, it's probably wrong to compare a half-finished version, but this is not on a par with the C64 one at all. But you know, at least they gave it a go. So anyway, listen guys, that is the very last game. This is just a bit of fun. It just lets you see that, you know, there are some Commodore 64 games that have been ported for the Amiga. Interesting to see. So as always guys, thank you very much for watching.